Yeah, yeah. Look alike. The kids are like, what is this?
Looks like urine, tastes like
It's been a
urine.
while. I think that
I know.
that memory's faded. The trauma's faded from their life.
Yeah, I've stopped doing it too. And I stopped cold plunging, and I walk past my homemade cold plunge all the time, and I'm like, oh, I should do that again.
I know.
And I was like back when we were building the house, I was living in a trailer, and so I'd have this routine because I couldn't. Gabe was sleeping in the trailer because it was tiny, right? Amelia and Jen and Jen, Tara and Jazz, Amelia were sleep.
Don't even bother. The wife and daughter.
The wife and daughter at the time were sleeping
Yeah.
in the other spot. So I would get up, I would quietly make my coffee, sneak out, and I couldn't go back. I couldn't even go make breakfast because Tara and Amelia were sleeping
Mm.
because they sleep in a bit. So I would go cold plunge, and then I would stand naked in front of the sun to get the sun on my privates,
Yeah.
because that's supposed to be good for you. And that was my routine. Then I'd go to work, and I'd walk across the field and work on the house.
Mm.
And it was kind of like this like routine for me, which was actually quite relaxing because I didn't wasn't distracted by anything else on the farm because the project
Yeah.
was get the house finished. And now that's done, my life is like kind of chaotic because there's
Isn't
no
it
real,
ironic? Because
yeah.
that was such a time guzzling project, and yet you had probably a more structured. Because I fell off the bandwagon of cold dipping this past winter, and the year before I was doing breath work every morning, the Wim Hof, or what, the one that Gary Brecker recommends, where
Uh,
I can't even remember. Oh yeah, you do this succession of breathing, and then you hold your breath, and then you breathe out. Oh, it's I can't remember what it's called, but it's a certain breath work routine.
psychotropic
Um,
psychotropic breathing or something.
yeah, and you do sets of 3, and then you let your breath out, and you're basically, how long can you not have any breath in you? And it's a form of meditation. And I would do that while watching the sunrise, followed by either cold plunging or a cold shower. And I was hardcore for about 6 months. I
And
didn't
drink
miss
your
a
own
day. I drink my
and
own
was drinking your
urine. Yeah. I was doing it all for a solid 6 months.
yeah.
And then you miss a week, and that's it. It's so annoying. And then
I
you forget
know.
about it.
I know, and I'm like, was I happier then? Like I used to meditate like loads, and every morning I would meditate. I think it's partly circumstance. Like when I was in North Van, I was sleeping in my own bedroom because I was struggling so hard with insomnia. So I would start the day. I would just roll out of bed, sit on my pillow, and do 20 minutes of meditation. And then, but there was a lot more structure in my life then because I was running Little Star. I am still running Little Star, but I was like, I didn't have this farm business out right outside my front door.
Your house was basically done.
Yeah,
It was
my
a
house was
finished
sort of
house.
done. You know, yeah, so there was like this kind of more structure. So I find like I'm really feeling like I need to get back to some form of structure, but I'm really struggling with writing it down. Like I tried to write down a calendar, so I put all of my values. So, spending time with the children, spending time with Tara, going to the gym, fitness, recreation. And there's a huge list of things that I want to cram into my life,
Mm,
working on the business, working on the farm, working on the podcast,
mm,
doing all this stuff. And you realize, okay, you can't do all of these things in a week. You might as well throw
no.
the week thing out. You have to kind of take it as a month.
Mm,
And then, but I'm really having a hard time putting pen to paper and actually committing to it. It's really weird
yeah,
because I
it
kind of
is hard.
secretly like this, like, whatever happens today. But I know that it's not healthy for me because
Mm,
I end up doing one thing thinking I should be doing the other, like I've talked about so many times.
mm.
Yeah.
I wonder whether part of your structure with your journey with insomnia, it forced you to look for answers for so long trying to cure yourself. It was like a sickness, wasn't it? A real
Mm.
affliction. And the amount of things you tried, the jump, the hoops, the money. I mean, you did everything that you could to solve that problem, which lasted, what, 15 years?
10 years, yeah.
And I wonder sometimes when the problem goes away and you find a solution, the apathy comes in because you're no longer, people who have sickness, who get diagnosed with something, that demands their full attention if they want to cure themselves, alternative treatment, or even if it's mainstream, suddenly you've got almost a purpose, like, I have to get better. And I remember how many conversations we had during that 10 years about how to cure the insomnia, what the root was. Was it unforgiveness? Was it, do you remember? All the layers of, was it rooted in music, and what was the core? Was it multi-generational? You literally turned every stone trying to cure that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, it
wonder
was like
whether
a mission.
sometimes, just like when your house is done, when the sickness is cured, it creates this empty space that was dedicated to solving that equation. And
Yeah.
we kind of thrive off problems sometimes, don't we? Because that house
Problems
project
and
took up a year.
yeah, which wasn't a problem. It was like a goal. And I realized that, what I actually need, I'm most scared of, which is writing down. I've never been good at writing down goals and like putting stuff on the fridge. And like, this is what, even with the farm, I'm like, what's the purpose here? What are we doing? Where are we aiming towards? And it's like, well, you just wake up in the morning and you just keep doing what you're doing and making it better and chipping away at it. But without a goal, you are really just a ship without a destination. Like, you're just at sea. Like, that's
Yeah.
the way I feel, like I'm just at sea, but I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going. And when I'm reflecting on why I'm not writing that goal down, there's a lot of fear around that, because I don't know. It's like this, it takes a calming down of yourself to write goals. Like, you have to like bring yourself grounded, then you have to talk about it. And there's something in the talking, like Tara loves planning. So it's like, yeah, let's plan. I'm all about that. Let's do it. And all of a sudden, my thoughts have to then come out of my mouth, and they don't come out as well as what they're all kind of like in this washing machine up here. And then she has to inject her opinion, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, so I can't just do what I want to do. It has to be some kind of compromise. And
Don't like compromise.
like compromise, you want to do what I want to do. But it's not. But the end result is not a good result for me, right? Because it's like I end up with this like butterflies in my stomach all the time, wondering what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm getting to that point where I'm sure. I'm getting to that point where I think I need to start putting pen to paper. And just balls up and do it.
I realize I'm hugely motivated by money and the possibility of making money. And if something doesn't have any potential, so for example, people say to me, why don't you do more art? You're so good at art. I don't care, because I know how much money there is to be made from it. And I don't love it enough to do it for my own enjoyment.
Yeah.
Because to me, if something doesn't have the potential of becoming a business, and because it creates a drain on my time. So if I was doing art 3 hours a day and it's never going to produce any income, I can't justify that 3 hours a day unless it was massively rewarding for my state of being. So working out, going to the gym, that's essential for my well-being physically and emotionally and blah, blah, blah. But I still compress it into the smallest space possible, and I basically figure out mathematically how much I need to do in order to get maximum results. So I'm not going to spend 3 hours at the gym. That's not happening. It's producing important things, but it's not producing an income. It's not creating financial stability. And the same with art or other creative ventures. I think you and I are similar in that we always think, is this something that we're interested in? And also, does it have potential to be worthwhile, that it could generate? Because that always has to be in the equation for me, because I've got so many overheads and I can't not think of that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I wonder why you and I are so similar in that regard, because people ask me, I mean, I was talking to the podcast that went live yesterday, Rick Leaf. He's like, you still play guitar? Still write songs? I'm like, no,
yeah.
never written a song since the day I quit Little Star. Barely pick up my guitar. I do it to play with Amelia when she wants to play. But some people scratch their head at that. They're like, it was all you did.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
true.
And then when the penny dropped for me and I realized this isn't going to be a career that I had in mind, I just hung. I literally hung my spurs up. Like, I just was like, I never touched again. Never wrote a song again. And I had to learn, because we had this jam. We've got this jam space in North Van. I've had to learn how to jam, which is just playing music, and then when you lock the door and walk out of the room, it just disappears into the ether.
And do you find that you don't value it as much because you're like, well, what's the point of that? It's got no direction or destination.
I don't get as much payoff as I would if I wrote a song, but I do value spending time with my friends, and sometimes it's really just great. But it's not as great as producing something. I wonder if it is it part of our childhood that we're so production oriented? Is it just because I think Martha is pretty like no faffing around kind of person. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, no nonsense. I mean, Mum, this is the thing. She's a genuine artist in as much as Mum has to do it regardless of whether it's bringing in money. It's very closely linked to her well-being.
Yeah.
And that's where I question, am I a real artist? If I can switch it on and off like that, I feel like, you know, the imposter thing is I don't feel like a proper artist because my ability to switch it off and never go back to it is so strong. And also my ability to find creative fulfillment in other things. Like for me, running a business was actually just as satisfying as doing art, if not more, because it also produced money. So I was happy to drop the art and still see running a business as just as creative. So I think that creative, like when we were talking about that creative energy and it has to be used up, it's still going somewhere. It's just not going, that gets switched off. So I'm not drawing anymore, but I am still doing something creative. I'm running a business and that energy has to be used. I think if I stopped, now I'm in this holding period where my business has shut down and I can tell that I need purpose and I'm starting to flounder and I'm 10 days in and I'm getting itchy and I'm struggling with feeling lost, and I can tell I need a project big time, like quick, reach out to people, see what they want. I'm now offering myself just to fill the space in the interim.
I wonder, I hear you. I'm the same way as far as feeling like the artist imposter, because I look at other people who just do it for fun. I'm like, okay, that's a true artist. What you were was like you saw an opportunity and you figured out how to do the algorithm, which isn't true, because you are an incredible artist.
But it's not like you with the music. I have to have a direction that art is going in, whatever the form is.
Uh-huh.
I think if nobody sees it, do you really want to do it?
Well, I was saying this to Rick, and I hate repeating myself, but I was saying it on the pod with him, and I was like, art, in my opinion, there's two halves to art. There's the guy that produces, the person that produces the art is only half the job done. The other half is the audience looking at the art, receiving it. Mm. And if those, in my opinion, if you don't have those two, then the art's half done. And that was my struggle with church, because they would say, go lead worship and write a great song, but don't get any adulation or praise for it, because that's bringing attention to yourself. So that gets completely directed up, right? And as an artist, that was always like this battle. It was like, oh yeah, I got to push the, like, yeah, that sounded pretty good. We were rocking there. It felt great. Like you have to constantly know that it was just all God. It was God. It was God. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with me. It's all him. Nice song you wrote there. Yeah, I didn't write it. You wrote it.
All for the glory of God.
Yeah. And so you become invisible, and you end up it just doesn't seem to work properly, because if a painter paints a painting and no one comes to look at it, or if a poet writes a poem and no one comes to listen to it or gets moved by it, then it's, to me, it's half done. I don't know.
And did you find when you went into the secular world with your music, you were able to then garner that praise without it feeling conflicting because there was no Christianity involved?
Oh yeah.
Did you think, oh, that was so refreshing just to be able to go, yeah, we rock? And
you could do whatever you wanted, and it just was your expression. And there wasn't this, it was like doing the whole thing without this massive element of drawing attention to yourself and having to write a song that everyone understood, like a nursery rhyme and all of this stuff. It was, you pull all that out, and it was way simpler. I mean, the competition was harder because the musicianship had to be so much better. Whereas in the church, you could be crap and
shit.
and still do well. because you're just singing other people's songs. You're basically a cover songwriter, right? Song
Mm,
musician, which is simple.
yeah.
Whereas in the quote unquote world, secular music, that would not fly. I mean, you
So
could be
in
a
work,
cover song player.
yeah. But I mean, in the Christian realm, there's always this wrestle with the ego, and that's always seen as something that's really detrimental. The wrestle is essentially what you're talking about with Christianity, is you lay any praise, whereas when you're going into the world, you kind of embrace that part, the showmanship,
Yeah,
that's totally acceptable.
it's just
And in
way
fact,
less
you need
confusing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need it. Yeah, you need it because it inspires you to then write more. You still want to move people, but there's not this confusion of, oh, I'm really scared. It's just fear, right? Like, I'm really scared of drawing
Mm,
attention to myself. I'm scared because I'm going to get, a walloping
yeah.
from God. Um, but
And you
yeah,
need that showmanship when you're going up on stage to embrace that
you got to
ego
have
and
swagger.
embody that. Yeah, when also have that alter ego where you become slightly different on stage, and
Can you imagine
you're
Oasis like coming up onto a worship stage and like, yeah, I'd be like, oh my God. They're
they're
touring right
getting,
now, hey?
yeah, yeah. I mean, what a crowd they're drawing. It's just people are paying, I think, 4 grand a ticket or more to
Yeah,
see them.
and it's wild because Liam, who was just the cockiest little bastard right now, he's like, reach out and touch the person beside you and give him a hug.
No,
And you,
really.
these people like, what? I thought last time he told us to punch the person beside us. Now he's like,
Yeah,
love the person beside us.
that is so funny.
Because he's
They've still got
turned
that
into a bit of a
attitude.
softie. Oh yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
like good old
yeah,
Liverpool swank.
yeah, yeah,
I would love to see it. I
yeah. It would be
saw
phenomenal.
I saw High Flying Birds, which was Noel Gallagher's band in
Oh yeah,
Vancouver. His music's all right, like High Flying Birds, but then he sang, because he wrote and sang "Don't Look Back in Anger," right?
yeah,
Sally Can't Wait.
yeah.
Is it
Which
"Don't
is
Look Back"?
considered the British national anthem.
Yeah, so Noel wrote that, and Noel would always sing that,
Mm,
and so he just sang that, and the place went mental. And you're
really?
like, this is a genius crowd. This is such a great song.
Yeah. I actually
Yeah,
prefer him to Liam.
yeah,
I prefer his singing. I prefer him as a person. He's more interesting.
yeah. Yeah, Liam's kind of burnt out in a way, right? He kind of did his thing and then overcooked it himself.
He seems even more cynical than Noel.
Yeah,
There's something really cynical about him. But it's
yeah.
funny because Damon from Blur has finally said, "You guys, you won the fight, you won the war, you won the battle. You guys win," because they were always at odds
Wow.
with each other through the 90s. And
Yeah.
with this comeback, he's like admitted defeat
Really?
publicly. Yeah, he said, "You guys win, go for it, all the best, love it. I'm out of here." And I don't think he's even in England this summer. He's like, I'm. He kind of basically admires what they're doing, but I'm tapping out. I think he doesn't want to play that game anymore, which is a game
Yeah.
that, funny thing is, in the 90s, there was so much antagonism between bands, whereas now you'll have a hip hop person featuring on a rock and roll album. Like there's a lot more
Mhm.
cross pollination and less snobbery. But when
Too much
those
love.
guys came out, well, yeah, it's gone the opposite way in that everyone's collaborating and there's no antagonism. But back in the day, when you'd watch the Brit Awards, there was full on fights breaking out between
Oh
bands
yeah.
and they hated each other.
Yeah.
There was a
No called.
real,
Yeah. Chris Martin, a flower pot.
yeah, totally. And then they hated the boy bands and they would just tear a strip out of any boy bands. They were really mean spirited in those days and really threatened by other talent.
I liked it.
So it was really entertaining.
Yeah. You'd
Like
watch
the
the
award
NME
shows.
magazine. Yeah, the award shows were just great. Now it's all love.
Yeah, yeah,
How boring is
exactly.
that?
Noel would literally just get his microphone, just throw it into the crowd. People were just smashing up their guitars, and it was really
Yeah.
like lots of angst. Yeah, it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But anyway, getting back to
yeah.
this artist thing. Yeah, it's a bit of a quandary, isn't it? How we do that.
Well, I just recognize my need, and I think both of us have that need to always have a sense of purpose and direction, and that without it, I think if I was in your position, my struggle would be, I've got a farm. How can this farm produce money? Because I'm putting, 70% of my day into this thing. I mean, I have no idea what your plan is, but those are the kind of things, time consuming things. How can I justify the time put in? Because that's where I see in myself that lack of interest and resentment builds, when I can't see a way of this producing something that's going to actually help me fund my life.
So why are we doing a podcast?
Well, that has the potential, doesn't it? I think there's potential there, but I keep checking in with myself, like we were talking about not being so driven that it takes the joy out of it, where we're white knuckling to, right, bang this out. You know, how can we enjoy the process without being ultra driven all the time?
Yeah, Abigail straightened me out the other day. I sent her a message, said, we got to really push. We got to do more. We got to do 2 podcasts a week. And I was like, silence. I'm like, what's she thinking? And then you came up and said, yeah, maybe we shouldn't push so hard. That's your MO. And I was like, probably needed to hear that.
That song by, it's a country song. I don't like country music, but Casey Musgrove, Slow Burn. I'm all right with a slow burn.
All right.
It's, you've got the album, actually. She's the one who did, you've got the record. She did Golden Hour. Anyway, just so you know, that music is in your house. The whole song's just about a slow burn, and it kept playing in my head every time you sent me that message, and all that day, for other reasons, I had that song playing in my head. And I thought, that's what I feel about the podcast, is slow burn, slow, steady, and gradual ascent. Because our tendency is I think we burn out quickly because we go in so strong on projects. And then same as what we were saying this just a minute ago about our breath work and getting up and watching the sunrise, and we'll do it hard out and we're telling everyone about it. You got to do it, man. This is it. This is the
Abigail's
answer.
like making t-shirts about cold plunging, starting a group, Instagram page.
This will save your life. Change your life amazing. And I think we go longer than most people, because we go long enough that people think, oh, they're delivering on this. This is a lifestyle. And then it's like 6 months-ish, and you don't talk about it so much. And, it just gradually, and I really would love to see something like this, because I think it's got potential and it's a good idea. It would sadden me if it burnt out. And it brings me back to Joe Rogan talks about how he's seen so many relationships in his life where people will fall in love and it's really intense and dramatic. And he talks about the relationship he has with his wife and how it was a slow burn. And he said he's noticed that people who get into relationships that are slow burn and not really intense and, passionate, they stand the test of time. And it stuck with me because it's just a general observation that I've seen to be true myself. And I thought, I think that might be true across the board, even with your little star. That's been a slow burn. Like, before you know it, wow, you were able to almost be kind of hands off on that business, be at home a lot throughout your kid's entire childhood, because it just gradually built momentum. Now it's at a crossroads. But really, if you think about it, the last, 15 years, that business is just, you've hit many challenges, and none of that will go away no matter what we do. But it's like that, I feel, was a slow ascent that had all the right components of something that ended up affording you an amazing quality of life. And it just gradually grew.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's comparison. I think comparison falls into it sometimes. Like I was this morning, literally, I got up at 7 o'clock. Tara's sleeping in. It's summer, and I immediately start thinking about my relationship with her. And I'm just like, when was the last time we went on a date? We're not affectionate enough around the children, and I'm constantly berating how our relationship it could be better, and I went for a walk with Amelia the other day because I was like, I need to spend some time with Amelia because I spent a lot of time with Gabe. So we went for a 2-hour hike. And, we were just talking about life, and I said, yeah, Dad has a hard time like showing affection, and I'm really trying to do that, but it just wasn't what modeled to me as a child. And trying to be more affectionate to mom and like outwardly, like
Mm.
publicly. For some reason, I find that a real struggle. Um, and she's like, "Well, just keep working on it," And you realize for your children, you think that like all they want it really is consistency. Yeah, it would be better if we were more cuddly on the couch, probably because it would model to them a healthy relationship. Um, but at the end of the day, when everything nets out, there's going to be things you do wrong. Like there's people that are cuddly on the couch and kiss and make out, and then they get divorced, and that is like, or heavy, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, heavier on the kids. And if you had like a moderate relationship where you weren't so much like that, but you stayed together, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so I find I'm always berating myself like I could do better. I could do better. Same with the podcast, right? Like it was fun to
Mm.
start and then all of a sudden say, all right, now we got to get going.
Overdrive.
Overdrive. We got
Formula
to
One.
catch up to the guys up there,
Catch
and
up with Chris Williamson.
yeah,
Yeah.
good luck.
We're going
But
from a country Devonshire road onto a Formula One racetrack now.
yeah, we've got to make it to London.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems to be the filter that all of my experiences go through. Like it's constantly being in a place. It's about being present, I guess, maybe. But being in a
You're
place.
always wanting to go to the outer limit of your capacity. So you
Mhm.
will set your goal and then you go, and people who were successful, like you look at the Elon Musks and all those Jeff Bezos types, they live like that, the Zuckerbergs, but are they, Rogan said this, most of them have horrid childhoods where they're doing this out of huge deficit and they pay a huge personal price for their level of success. And even Chris Williams says there's idiots all the way up to the top, just broken, idiotic arseholes. And, well, you've got enough, really healthy things in your life that you're never going to be that type of person. But I think you do push the envelope on everything. Like I when I was saying to my kids, we were talking about deficits and I said, well, we're not a very affectionate family, similar to you, exact same conversation. And have you noticed when you go to other people's houses that some siblings and parents are really affectionate with each other? And they were just talking about other families who are like that. And I spoke to my acupuncturist about it and she said, bottom line is, do they feel loved? Have they been loved? 100%. There's no doubt that our children will know that they're loved. And then you've got all the variations of every family has its brand of what it does comes easy to it. So some families are really affectionate, but they just don't do any activities together and they barely see each other and they're workaholic, whatever the thing is. And I've realized that each family has its brand of what it does, what its strength is and what comes easy to it. And then areas that don't come easy. But at the end of the day, like Amelia's response isn't, well, yeah, Dad, you really fucked up on that one. She still feels loved. So she's like, big deal.
Yeah, even going for a walk with her, and like if I go with Gabe, he will talk the entire way, and I'll just be like, yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Oh, I know.
Gabe just keeps on going. Amelia, we're very similar in that way. So there was lots of silence, right? And as soon as the silence happens, I'm like, okay, I need to make an effort here to try and fill in that gap. And I don't know what's in her head, but I think for her, when she looks back on that, it's like, Dad made the effort to spend some time with me.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I really like spending time because we had this great conversation on the way up. It won't be, but at the moment, I'm constantly like scanning my like.
Yeah.
Are you being a good parent? Oh no, okay, work on it, make it.
Looking for leaks. Oh, there's a leak there. Quick, stop up the leak.
I wonder if it's just a product of the internet, like the fact that we compare ourselves with, like in the old days, you would just compare yourself with those in your village. Like, oh, Frank, he's a better hunter than me. He brought in 2 deer this week and only got the one. I really want to be the best hunter. But now, I think it's the dark side of the internet, is that we're cold plunging, but then we watch another video and think, oh, I should be doing kettlebell workouts. And then we watch another video and say, I should be running more. I don't do enough cardio. And then another video that's like, oh, this guy's a hunter. I should be a hunter. And they all call to something inside you, right? It's because it's adventure, right? And exciting, but you just can't do it all.
No.
I wish somehow the hierarchy, because you talked about Chris Martin saying, it's a shit show all the way to the top. I wish we could turn what the top is on its head. It's almost like seeing the emperor's clothes. Like if we could see all the wealthy in all of their not so much glory, dysfunction, like actually camera on the wall, see the dysfunction of the household maybe, and the fact that there's like arguing over you just bought a new Lamborghini again or whatever it might be, and we'd almost like eat so much of it that we just turn our back on it. Like I think that would be so fantastic to pull the enamoredness out from famous people and successful people. Like if we could just pull that out.
The illusion of
it is an illusion. It's a carrot, right? And I say this all the time. Like if you offered everyone $2 million, but said, here, we're going to give you 2 million, but the problem is you're going to be unhappy. Most of us would roll the dice and say, I'll take my chances. Like we're so incredibly drawn towards what we view, what we're shown as success to be. And we hear all the stories about when you get to the top, the horizon just moves and you won't be happier.
And how insecure they are. If they've got 1 billion, they want 2 billion. And their 1 billion feels inferior next to the guy who's got 2 billion.
Not really true though, is it? It's not really true.
Yeah.
Like
I'd like to try.
Give over. And I wish there would be some way of like all of us seeing
experience it for a day or a week and go, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah. Or just see the dysfunction and let it really sink in and think, you know what, I know the top is now like, how many carrots can I grow fresh food for my children? Or you know what I mean? Like
I've thought about the other day when we were talking about music and how the first album that anyone brings out, the debut, is the poverty-stricken rock star who is relatable and they're writing it from their basement. And then as the albums progress and their success, they start to not be relatable anymore. And then when they've reached like multi-millionaire status, because then they start singing about world peace and we should all just love each other. And I don't spend any time of my day ever thinking about world peace and loving the world. Like it doesn't take up any of my thoughts because I'm dealing with what if the light goes on in my car and my engine, I'm thinking about how am I going to make this work? What am I going to do to provide for my children? But as their financial situation becomes more and more lavish and taken care of and cushioned, I think they must wake up and go, we should all just love each other more. I'll write a song about world peace that actually most normal people can't relate to. They produced these albums about love and rainbows and all this stuff when we were ripping it out of Coldplay. That's the kind of realm they're in now, is the world peace realm. And I was thinking about how unrelatable that is, because I think that when we're struggling financially, those thoughts they're not in your mind. You're literally thinking about, what am I going to do this month to make sure that all the needs are met? And this light's come on in my car. Shit, how much is that going to cost? And it's just like putting out fires and solving problems. And that's something that I guess as you become more and more wealthy, you get cushioned from that gritty, or everyone's beginning pretty much, unless if you're born into wealth, I suppose you wouldn't experience that. But that's, for the most part, that's people's reality, isn't it? Is they can't see beyond. We're just so focused.
Yeah. I almost wish that wealthy people would just brag more. I don't know. Like, it's like this thing where they, like, I even feel it with Rogan sometimes. I'm like, bro, you've left the stratosphere.
Yeah.
Like you try to pretend that you bring back memories of when you were poor and broke and just you know, kickboxing and get whatever you were doing. But, you know, you can't help but think you're so far detached from that now. You know, you're so filthy rich. Yeah, I don't know. But they're constantly trying to, like an artist, you know, that gets really successful wants to still relate to the
Yeah,
people.
yeah. Because they
Like
know
I
their
still want,
records won't sell.
yeah, I
Yeah,
want
what
that
was it like
connection.
not being able to pay rent?
Yeah.
And then
So
they
they
give
write
up and
about.
do, oh, we should all just love each other more. And no one gives a fuck about that because no one's at that level. Like it's,
We don't have the bandwidth for it. It's like they say
no.
recycling, and like, why do you go to a third world country and there's litter all over the place when they live in the most beautiful parts of the world? It's like they haven't got time to think about recycling.
Yeah,
Like they're
no.
literally just trying to get the next meal in their kid's mouth.
Yeah, yeah,
Period. So
yeah,
it's a luxury, you know,
yeah,
like taking care of the environment,
exactly.
taking care of it's a
Yeah,
luxury.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah, they're burning tires because they have to keep warm or dung or whatever. And
yeah,
they're not thinking about, oh, how are we impacting the environment? You wouldn't.
yeah.
As soon as you go into crisis, and I've noticed this from 5 years ago where we were buying grass fed beef and we would buy half a cow and fill the freezer. And then when hard times hit, where do I go back to? Gateway Meat Market, which is, I don't even care where the meat comes from, you know, like, because at the end of the day, it's too expensive at this point to buy grass-fed beef. And then once I'm back down here at the really unpleasant shopping experience places where it's like factory, you know, you're just lining up to get whatever.
Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. It feels way too extravagant to go back to grass-fed beef because that is a luxury. And
And you kind of think,
I,
well, I feel the same as I did then. What was I
yeah,
doing?
I feel just, and because I think although we know that that meat is better, a lot of it is a moral decision, the welfare of the animal. But when hard times hit, you don't give a shit about the welfare of the animal. You've got to feed your kids and we need meat. Like my care now of what kind of life did this chicken have is not really at the forefront of my mind at all. But 5 years ago, when I had the ability, I was thinking about those things, the welfare of the chicken's life. And isn't it satisfying to eat a chicken that you know lived a good life? But
Uh-huh.
as soon as you feel poor, you don't care about that chicken's life at all.
Yeah.
It just drops
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. Yeah. These things are all luxuries, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, there's that
yeah.
brilliant podcast. One of the early Chris Williamson podcasts that I really like was this guy talking about luxury beliefs. And he said how defund the police was primarily supported by people at Harvard, rich kids who had no idea of the impact of not having the police funded because they are not in the ghettos experiencing what it's like to not have a cop show up because there's a drive-through shooting. And he calls it luxury beliefs because it's people who are going to be the least affected, and they'll picket line about topics, hot, trendy topics that won't affect them in any way. But they've got the time to get behind some new thing, and it's virtue signaling. And I just thought the phrase luxury beliefs was a really interesting phrase because you think about it, you know, I suppose the welfare of animals who get slaughtered is more than a luxury belief because it's a reality that they didn't live a great life. But the luxury of being able to afford that is actually such a small percentage of the population can choose to do that. But the luxury belief thing, I'm trying to think of other things other than defunding the police. He listed this laundry list of trending.
Electric cars.
Right. Okay. That would be classic, wouldn't it? Because the belief that oil is going to destroy the environment and the lack of science to support that, and the luxury belief that electric vehicles are actually better, it's not even true. But then rich people can push for that and say, let's eliminate oil. Oh yeah, that's terrible. But most people around the poverty line cannot have electric vehicles.
Can't afford solar panels and electric. No, it's well, Jordan Peterson always is rattling on about that, right? Like the cheapest energy, like that's the goal. Go for the cheapest energy because then all ships will rise in the harbor. We'll get rid
Yeah.
of we'll get rid of poverty. You make
Yeah.
energy expensive, and the poor will get poorer, and there'll be more added to the poor pile.
Yeah. And it's
Uh,
bad for everyone.
Yeah.
It's a net
Yeah.
loss.
I know. I think that's why I always felt happier as far as I can remember, because we do kind of sugarcoat our memories, but I feel like I always felt happier in poverty stricken places that I
But you
worked.
wouldn't choose it. You wouldn't sign up for it. That's what's so funny, isn't it? You know,
I think that if I
if it
didn't have
happened to
children,
you, do you think?
I think if I didn't have children, I would be happy just to be backpacking, living out of a van. I think I really would.
Really? Yeah.
Like I was talking to Gabe last night. We were fishing, and he asked me so he's working on the farm about 3 or 4 hours a day, and he asked me for a raise yesterday. Well, I was like, I kind of dropped the hint that sometimes you have to ask, because I'm trying to get him to understand how it works in the real world, right? It's like, how's it work,
Assertiveness.
Dad? Like, yeah. So I'm
Don't
like, you
practice
have
on
to
me. Do
ask
it with someone else.
you have to ask me for a raise, and then I have to argue why I don't think you're worthy of it, maybe, and then you have to argue why you think you are, and you have to tell me your value, and then maybe tell you what you need to work on a bit, and then I might give you a raise. So um, we were heading down to the fishing load in, and he was asking about that, and my neighbor was with me, and he was talking about how much he made as a kid. It's like, yeah, I used to work for the Gilberts, and I made 2 pence an hour, which is 2p would be what, like 1 cent, and then I got
Well,
a raise
probably
to
5 cents.
and then Dad found out, and then I got a
Oh,
raise to 75 pence an hour.
that's quite a jump.
I think it was something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And anyway, and I said to Gabe, I didn't really care about making any money at all. I just loved working. Like I loved working. I didn't want to make. I was like, I don't care what I make. I just want to work,
Mm,
and they'll let me work and work like an
mm,
adult.
yeah.
But I think if I pull kids out, I think genuinely, I would be buggered off to Australia. I
In the
think so.
jungle.
Yeah,
Mm,
I think it's the dependence, and then this pressure of creating a shelter and an environment, and then wanting to buy them nice. Like I love buying my kids stuff. I mean, there's nothing
mm.
better than surprising your children with
Yeah,
something,
it's
right?
amazing.
Come
Yeah,
into the living room, see what Dad got you.
yeah,
Oh my God! I mean, it's addictive.
yeah. It's a
So,
huge motivator. It
yeah, hey
creates
kids.
your sense of meaning.
Yeah, it's like, hey kids, we're going to go to Mexico next month.
Yeah, yeah,
So excited. I mean,
yeah.
those are as parents, what we work for. Like,
Mm,
Dad, I need a new mountain bike. Well, it's like $6,000. No, it's not. It's more
mm.
than that. It's like $12,000.
Need
It's
crowdfunding.
crazy. Yeah, it's like I want to go skiing, and so we got to get ski pass. So to keep up with all of that, and then you want to have a nice home, and then you
Mm,
want. I think it's for me anyway. I think that's why I feel so kind of empty. Like what I've been really searching for the soul connection thing,
mm,
because I really like felt happy when I was just helping people, with people,
mm.
working with people. So yeah, maybe it's the dependence that all of a sudden rises up the pressure. I
Yeah.
mean, you probably feel that, right?
Oh,
If you were by yourself right now, you'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna go back and live with mum for a bit.
yeah.
Let
I
this
mean,
storm pass over
the the kids create the reason for all of it, and then they'll bugger off, which is also very odd. But
and leave you
at
alone.
this point, I'm halfway through child rearing, and they are my reason for all of this. The reason why I want to have a successful business is for them, not only because I want to provide for them, but I also want to model to them how to live. Like I want to give them the blueprint. And it's interesting because I don't think our parents, and it probably wasn't a very 1980s thing to do, because not many people I know of had parents who actually sat them down and go, this is the secret of success. This is, I'm constantly saying to my kids, there are 3 things you need to remember. Like if you want to run a business, you need to have these 3 components. It doesn't matter how good your idea is. You need to be punctual. You need to be responsive, and you need to be able to manage your money. I don't care what your business idea is, kids. These are the 3 elements that have to be in place. And obviously I won't say it quite like that, but I'll present it in terms that they can understand, because I feel like I want to impart to them every bit that I've learned to help them on their way, because I didn't have parents that sat me down and told me this stuff. I hope to think that it would help. Just that little seed where one day they might go, oh yeah, punctuality is important, responsiveness is important, being able to manage. And if you can't do it, delegate it to someone who can, because these are the keys to any success in life, or whatever the thing is. I do feel like when you've done as
Oh,
much
yeah.
as you have something to offer, and giving it to the next generation is probably the biggest sense of purpose that anyone could ask for, to have something to hand over to them.
Well,
You
that
know,
is
like
our
your
job, right?
teach, right. And that reel I sent you the other day, where in parenting, you go from carer to coach, which I really quite liked. So you go from nurturing to, hey, you've got this, and I'm here on the sideline if you need any feedback. So you're teaching Gabriel about assertiveness, how to get a raise in the real world, and he's testing it out on you. And that assertiveness will hold him in good stead when he has to evaluate, I want more money, but am I worth more money? What makes me better than the person next to me? And understanding, you know, what you're bringing to the table and how is it different than everyone else in the room. All of these kind of self-reflective tools will help him evaluate when he wants something in life. Well, why do you deserve it? You know, that
Yeah, I
whole
mean, I think
JFK quote, don't think about what the world can give to you, think about what you can give to the world. It's a totally different way of viewing things.
yeah, I mean, we're selfishness is massive in our culture, right? Like, just do it for me. I was talking to a buddy of mine, Phil Brown, who connected through the Todd podcast. Hadn't talked to him in like 20 years, and he was I guess he listened to a few of our podcasts, and he was like, "Man, you've had a lot of adventure," and we were just talking about child rearing. 'Cause he's got some young ones, um, and I was just saying how, you know, I haven't read a book on how to raise children. I'm definitely more geared towards raising boys than you know, like Tara seems to be locked into Amelia, and I'm like locked into Gabe a lot of the time, even though we do cross pollinate a lot. But you know, like, it's like your kids are more capable than you give them credit for, you know. And I think it's a testament to why my company was moderately successful, was because I didn't micromanage. I didn't constantly take the tool out of their hands and say, no, just let me do it because I'll do it right. It's like, no, you do it. Yeah, you did that wrong. Try again. Try it again. And and I think that a lot of employers or people that try to business, that the reason their business don't scale is because they cannot handle other people doing a job not quite as perfect as them, you know. And so I think that, and that just comes naturally to me. Like, I'm okay with people making mistakes and then just correcting and then making another mistake. Um, and with Gabe, you know, like I've said, maybe I said this on the pod before, but we went fishing, and usually my neighbor would go with me, and I would be in the boat, he would back the trailer down into the ocean, and then I would wait for him in the ocean. He would park the truck, come down, I would pull in on the boat, and close enough so that he can jump on the boat, and then we go off. So it's a bit of a rigmarole because you don't want to hit the bottom of the. You have to come very, very close to the shore without whacking the boat and damaging the motor. So we were driving down, my neighbor was gone, and I was like, okay, so this time we don't have our neighbor. I didn't even think about that. So I guess you're launching the boat. And, you know, some parents, I think, would pull the truck around at that point and come back home and say, yeah, oversight. We can't do this with the two of us. But, you know, Gabe's 12, I think 11 years old when he did that. And so we go down to the dock, and the wind's blowing a bit, which when you put your boat in, when it leaves the trailer, the wind will start to blow it towards the shore. So you have to be on it. Because there's a lot of boats that just get kind of like drifted up onto the rocks, right? And a lot of parents I saw were walking down, watching what I was doing, and they were coming down to watch.
Oh, here's a cowboy.
Yeah. And so Gabe's like, I got this, Dad. I got
Of course
this.
he is.
And I'm like, yeah, you do. And I didn't know how it was going to turn out. But what I do is because I don't want my truck to get in the salt water too much, I reverse down fairly fast and then slam on the brakes, and the trailer will roll off the trailer into the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
And he has to get out of danger and then wait out there without the current taking him away, wait for me to come back, and then come pick me up. And he did all of that seamlessly, right? And then we were coming back from fishing. I'm like, okay, that was the easy part. Now you've got to get it on the trailer. So you have to drop me off. I have to go get the truck, drive it down into the ocean, and then you have to line up the boat. And it's not easy. You have to line up the boat with the trailer while the wind's blowing you and the waves and the tide, and get it perfectly on the trailer and just up onto the trailer. And I didn't talk to him. I was just like, you know what, trim the motor up. Don't let it hit the rocks, because when you hit the boat, the boat motor's going to go down a bit. And I just watched him do it. and I didn't say, no, 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 over this way, Gabe, don't do that, because
Mm.
that would have
Yeah,
stressed him
yeah,
out, right?
yeah.
And now he's done it 15 times. He does it
Wow.
every time. Even when my neighbor comes, he's doing it.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
it's like my kid isn't anything super special. It's like kids have the ability to do more than you think they can do. It's just
Mm.
we don't trust that they can do it, so we constantly take the thing out of their hands and say, "No, let me do it."
Mm.
And it's like, no, I remember reading when I was really into entrepreneurial books. I was reading this biography of Richard Branson,
Mm.
and I think he was like 8 years old or something, and his parents would just stop the car on the way home. They lived in
Yeah,
the middle of the countryside, and they would
yeah.
say, "Find your own way home," and drive off.
Which we would now call abuse.
Yeah, and he was
That
like
would be,
miles,
I
yeah,
remember that. It's like 5 miles from
miles from
home.
home. But what's the result of that? An independent thinking, very successful entrepreneur who's like, I got this. I can do
But
this.
a different personality of a child could interpret that as abandonment, depending on your personality. That's what I
If you
notice
know
is with
what
children.
abandonment means, back then I don't think that was even
Well,
a
no,
word. I've been
no.
abandoned. What?
Later on, they'll tell it as a sob story. You know how we talk about life in the 80s,
Yeah.
like, oh, my parents, I'd had to walk 3 miles to school, no food. They would kick you out of the home after school, and you're not allowed back in till dinner or when the sun goes down. There's an element of pride in that because we're tougher people, but also it's funny how people interpret it. Because I said to my kids the other day, oh, I'm probably not a very nurturing person, right? And I don't think of myself. They think that I am. But because and it's interesting because one of our favorite we love 1980s movies. So E.T. is a huge family favorite. And
Okay.
part of the reason why I love 80s movies is because when I'm watching them, that is my type of parenting. Like I am a 1980s mum trapped in a 2020s era. Because when you watch those movies, the way that they parent is so like that's how I parent. It's like, yeah, have at it, go for it. And I think one of the difficulties in being misplaced because I'm in a different environment is feeling that judgment of that was how we were raised, but it's not socially acceptable to parent that way anymore.
Mm.
And yet my kids love it because they'll come to me and say the amount of parents, all of their friends have highly anxious parents and their friends are highly anxious kids. And so they hide what they get up to. So they're smoking some pot now, they're drinking some alcohol, and their friends cannot let their parents know. Whereas I'm aware of it and I just say, I'm aware that it's happening. You don't need to tell me the details. But the next day I'll be asking them, so were you tripping balls last night? What was that like? And we'll start, and they'll say, oh, it's so nice that we can talk to you about this stuff, because our friends can't tell their parents. And I would say, like, why aren't they telling their parents? And they said, because the parents have too much anxiety and the kids have too much anxiety, therefore they can't be themselves. And so it's interesting because where I've berated myself for not being nurturing enough, I think just like what you're saying about Amelia, where you're going, not very good at affection, and she's not seeing the deficit. She knows she's loved and she will notice other families behaving differently. But I suspect she won't come back to you and go, why do we never hug? I feel deprived because this family over here hugs. They just recognize, oh, that family does it differently to our family. But they still, because she's not deficit driven, if there was a deficit there, she probably would be looking at the holes. Like often when we grew up, there was a lot of deficit there, and we then looked at other families probably and thought, wow, we don't have that. Something's missing. Something's terribly wrong. But because I think both of our kids have a baseline that they're loved, they're not going to be probably cruel about it or hard on us because they already know. And so
Yeah.
when I go to my kids and say, oh, you'll probably need therapy at some point because there's probably trauma somewhere. Everyone has trauma from childhood. And they will, especially with the last year that they've been through, but they don't see it that way, which is, I think it's our paranoia and our own childhood that makes us way more sensitive than we need to be about what we think is going to be a deficit to them. Do you know what I
think our
mean?
North Star our North Star has been taken away and replaced with literally, I hate to say it over and over again, but social media, right? We are comparing, and so I can't remember the last time I felt like, yeah, it was just what I do. This is what we
Mm,
do. This is us. This is me. This is what I feel. Like, it's not always like, what does so and so feel? Like, the comparison of, I mean, if you extract that from parenting, if you extract all of the internet's gone, vanished,
mm,
and it's literally just the people in your neighborhood and on your street and in your church or whatever your community is,
mm.
things
Paranoia would
become,
go away.
yeah,
Real
you're
simple.
comparing yourself with influencer mums
With
who
a
are like,
facade.
I see it all the time. It's like, on Instagram, you got this, like, we decided to sell our house and move to the
Yeah, yeah.
country and be with our children and teach them how to grow carrots and whittle wood and pump water from a well. But you've got a YouTube channel with
Mm,
50,000 followers, so your camera is with you all the time.
yeah, that's fucked up.
It's like, well, kinda. I mean, I follow these people, Jake and Nicole, off grid, right?
Mm,
And they're like living way up north, and they've got 3 children now, and they live in the forest. But he's always buying like new boat, new tractor, new this, new mill. That all comes from well,
sponsors, probably.
the truth is he hasn't either.
They,
Yeah, they have a
they've
huge
got a,
YouTube following, and they have
yeah,
OnlyFans page.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
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 which is
that's probably the
probably
big
why.
money maker.
But so you kind of think, in one hand, it's like, well, that's given you a vehicle to be able to live off grid because it costs
Mm,
money to live off grid.
yeah.
That's really cool. What I would like to see the 50,000-foot view of like, oh, you got to get some footage of that. Oh, you should film that, babe. You
Mm,
should film that. Yeah, yeah. You're
mm,
picking a carrot in your bikini. Let's film that. Let's get a real close
yeah,
up, and whatever it is. And you kind of think, hmm, what's it's a bit
yeah.
odd.
It's not
And so we're
natural.
comparing ourselves with it's the same way our children are comparing their bodies. Like, Amelia, I can't stand it. I'll take a picture. She goes, "Oh, it's awful. I look
Yeah.
terrible."
Oh, every
I'm like,
time. My kids were like, "Don't post that on social media. How dare you?" And they'll say, "Take it down.
yeah.
Take it
And I'm
down."
like, Amelia, it's an insult to unattractive people. I don't know if that is politically correct, but it's
Right.
an insult to what we call an unattractive. I mean, let's
The
face
fact that
it,
you're picky
as
about
human.
your photo.
Yeah, yeah, they would
Yeah.
die to look like you.
Yeah.
Amazing
Right.
body,
Exactly.
in
Yeah.
great shape and all of this.
Yeah.
It's insulting.
Yeah.
Um, but and
You think you've
but
got
anyway, I think
problems?
that
Yeah.
look at that Porky over there. But but I think as parents, we're comparing ourselves and making ourselves feel like shit all the time.
It's horrible.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's exhausting. I think so many parts of my day are spent thinking that I'm just not doing enough or doing it right or doing, where's that come from?
Well, it's like I'll go on Instagram and the reel will be 3 mistakes parents make. And I'll be like, do I want to listen to this? And now I tend to just flip past. It'll be like 3 ways that you know your marriage is failing. 3, it will
What?
often be,
Being on the phone too much.
yeah. 2, with the kids. It's like 3 ways to and make sure your son grows up with a good role model. Blah, blah, blah. And now my feed is just full of things that
3
could
ways.
potentially 3 this, 3 that, or 5 this. It's always that I know that that's how they reel people in because you're like 3. That's small enough that you could listen to it. You
100%.
think this could be actually really beneficial, whatever this thing is.
That's
But it can
preaching
also
101,
make you,
right?
yeah, 3 rules for a successful marriage, and I'll
Yeah.
just
So,
my finger
so
will
now
be
you
like,
know
do I?
now you know where we're going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do I hit
But
it?
my finger will be like, do I? No, I don't actually want to know. I don't give a fuck. Because guess what? I'm not fucking married. No, but also everyone's got a different set of rules for life. Don't do this. Don't do that. Whatever you do. And you fucked up if you do this. And I feel like social media has become this platform of paranoid, whatever you do, don't do this. But whatever you do, do that. Make sure you don't do this. And you've really fucked up if you do that.
Yeah.
It's too much. Because like you say,
I know.
if you were in a community, you would maybe bump into one person a day and you would see them as a holistic person. So regardless of how amazing that person is, they're not perfect. So you would just put it in context. And I mean, it's such we all know it's such a cliche, isn't it? But that is, back in the day when they say it takes a village to raise a kid, whatever you weren't able to give your children, Uncle so-and-so down the road would make up. So what used to happen is like, oh, we've got a son here, he's been in a bit of trouble. Why don't you go with your uncle and go onto his farm for the summer and he'll straighten you out and get you disciplined. But you know how essentially in your childhood you had different father figures in the shape of not always great people, but Farmer Bragg, you know, these other men,
John Dowman,
who imparted something to you, both negative and positive, but somehow helped you along your way. And you had essentially the village experience. So where mum and dad failed, you would have some sort of father figure come in, or nurturing mother figure, to even things out somewhat. And that is lacking now, because it's just you and Terra doing the job of a village.
Yeah. And even like when I was thinking the other day about, we should be going on more dates and doing all of that. When I think those thoughts with my relationship, for instance, my whole when I see my wife across the kitchen, all I see is what we're not doing. So instead of being in the moment and at that moment making that moment as good as it could be, I'm thinking, no, we need to go on a like quote unquote relationship diet, or go to the gym as a relationship, and then I can feel like it's another completed. Do you know what I mean? It distracts from actually in that moment. I could just go, "How's your day going?"
Yeah,
which really in the old days was be the connection you would get and give.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but now it's like, I look at her and I think, oh, relationship is like, it's like a 3. It needs to be a 9, and until it's a 9, I'm not even gonna say anything, because what's the point? Because it's a 3. You know,
Such
I mean, to
catastrophizing.
get us back to a 9, to get us back to a 9, it's gonna take a serious amount of work. And then you just leave. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, instead of.
And who said the expectations are so high for a start, aren't they? And where did the expectations come from? Something Jenny says to me a lot, who was on this podcast, is you're either driven by guilt or by shame. And you're basically probably feeling guilt in that moment of, we haven't done this, we should have done that, I haven't complimented, why should I expect anything? When was the last time I complimented her? Blah, blah, blah. Guilt-driven thought processes.
Yeah.
It's not good enough, blah, 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 blah. I'm downtrodden, fuck it. And then you leave that. And because I think I'm highly motivated by guilt, as in it's an ever present. I should be. The word should is just such a horrible word. Says who?
Yeah.
Says who? Says your really high expectations of life and high standards that you have, impossibly high standards you have for yourself, are saying should. We really should push a bit more. We really should be in a better place by now. I really should be closer to retirement. I should be financially stable. How many thoughts in a day? I was thinking be that, not here.
Yeah, I was thinking
everything
that last
is
night.
wrong.
I was looking at my mortgage last night, and just like it got mailed to me, and I'm like, I've got another $500,000 to pay off. You know, and it's like, oh, just like I suck. Got no pension. You know, but you're living on 5 acres of land that just probably doubled in value.
Yeah. You got the potential of passive income.
I had a friend over the other day. We were potting together, and he's super into crypto. He's like, "Have you got into XRP yet?" I'm like, "No."
That's another thing I should do.
Yeah, I know. And then he left, and I'm like, "Oh, babe, we should really be getting into crypto. Mike's just killing it in crypto." And in actual fact, property is as good an investment as crypto, right?
Yeah.
So where do you place your energy? It's fucking frantic. It's unbelievable, and I don't know how to get off that train. There's just so many. There's so many. Our life is just so busy of trying to cram it all in and do it all. Be the best parent. Be the best everything. It's unbelievable.
Well, like, I sent you a reel the other day that said, your intuition, I can't remember exactly how it said it, but basically it said, intuition will never be driven by either guilt, shame, or fear. If guilt, shame, or fear is present, it is not your intuition. Something to that effect, where if you're saying I should be doing this, it's guilt. It's probably guilt, fear, or shame driven. It's not actually a true desire of you. It's to do with comparison with someone else. But intuition transcends guilt, shame, and fear and is true. As in, for example, did your move to Vancouver Island was probably an intuitive move. It probably wasn't driven by guilt, fear, or shame. It was, I think I need to get out of this city. It's really getting me down. Or it was a cluster of things, right? And I feel like true decisions that are almost pure do not have that element of fear, because fear is often a big one, isn't it? A driver to decisions that probably aren't the best decisions. They're should driven. I should be retired by now. I should have a mortgage-free home. I should be spending more time with my blah, blah, blah. And I've started to realize how those three things, guilt, fear, and shame, are huge drivers in really poor decision making. And so I'm starting to wonder if I should step back. Whenever I feel the presence of those three things, ask myself, is this being driven by one of these three things or all of them? In which case, it's probably not an intuitive, because the intuition they say is always right. Like it is your North Star, your gut feeling about something. And how do you get back to that when you've got layers of all the dysfunction on top of it? You know, like how do you get to the true North Star?
Turn off your phone, probably. I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, guilt, fear, and shame have a purpose, right? The same way as there's a purpose in those, but we've used them. We're
way less
using
than
them for
we
the
give
wrong
credit.
task.
Yeah.
Yeah, like guilt. If you've run over someone, you probably should turn around and go check if they're all right. Shame if you've
done something that I get
fear,
there,
there's a
utility,
lion running at you.
but
there's a
probably
utility
not
there, but
for we've given it too broad a reason to be used, probably. Yeah.
I keep coming back to the phone. I mean, it's caused so much problems, and they're only going to get bigger.
Yeah.
I had a guy call me yesterday, and he tried to rope me in to, like, when you run a business, you very quickly become on the radar. You're on the radar for marketing all the time. I don't know if you get it, but I get it all the time. So this guy's like, hey, I want to have you. He emailed me. He says, I wonder if you'd be on my podcast, No Strings Attached, about construction. I'm like, sure. Well, let's jump on a quick screening call to see if you're a good fit. So I get on the call, because I get like 10 or 12. I pick one out of every 10 maybe to chase after the thread, but usually they're just gimmicks, right? Get on the call. How you doing? How's your business? Tell me a story about your business. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm like, well, we started out of a band, and well, that's a cool story. Have you got any more stories? And I'm like, well, not really, not when I'm put on the spot. I don't just pull a story. I said this to him. I'm like, I'm not really feeling like I can pull a story out. Like, they come or they go. And he's like, okay, cool. So anyway, and it turns out what he actually wants me to do is hire his company to fire all my staff and let AI do it all.
Okay.
So he's like, how many people do you hire? I'm like,
fix a kitchen. But anyway.
Yeah. So he's like, how many people do you hire? I'm like, I said, what do they do? What's their jobs? Okay. He goes, 3 out of the 4 people that you mentioned, or 5, could be done by AI. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't think a person that wants to spend $100,000 on a kitchen wants to talk to a robot about how that kitchen should look. I mean, I don't know. I just don't see how there's value there and how they're going to feel taken care of when they're talking to a bot. Well, I'd beg to differ, like new technology. And what I realized is, as I'm in this conversation, I realized I'm the old guy in the room.
Yeah.
Because in actual fact, I will be good enough to eventually be able to design your house amazingly.
Yeah.
And I realized, oh shit, this conversation is got cobwebs on it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, in 5 years' time, he is probably right. I'm not willing to do it. I'm going to be the old-fashioned guy who says, like, digital cameras will never be a thing. We're just going to use film.
Yeah.
because of but like have you tried Gemini on your phone? It's like a free app. It's like a Google search. It's pretty amazing. It's like just a search engine and it's free. And I said to Gemini, I said, hey, I want to build a 20 by 30 edition on stilts with one bathroom, attaching it to an existing house. I live in Vancouver Island. What do you think the price would be? Because a client had asked me, right? And it gave me like an essay, and it was so exhaustive. It was crazy. It was like,
within
so
minutes.
seeing that you live on Vancouver Island, materials are going to be a little bit more expensive. You're probably looking at about $300 a square foot to $500 a square foot, depending on the finish and how you join it to the house. And here's how I suggest. I mean, it was like, wow.
Yeah. And it's
So
wild
yeah,
because you can put into AI, I need insulation. Where's the cheapest insulation in the city? And it will literally, not only will it include Home Depot and Rona, it will include, well, right now on Kijiji, someone's selling their old
no way.
insulation, and Facebook Marketplace. There's 3 ads on there right now at this price. So
What?
yeah, wild. So you can literally, I mean, I'm sure you do it for other things, but I want, this for my deck. I need to build a deck. I need this. It includes Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, Craigslist. It gathers everything that's out there being advertised right now, and it will give you a breakdown of the cheapest to the more expensive. Can't really argue with that. Just like, you've just saved
Yeah,
me
I had a friend.
a year of my life. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Tara, Tara, she's on the
Yeah.
podcast next week. And she said to me, I was like, hey, can you send some of your bio stuff to put in the show notes? And she's like, yeah, I'm just working on a song with AI right now. We figured out the melody, and we're just working on some lyrics. You're working with AI to write a song.
Well, they did that
Like
whole test, didn't they? Well, they
Yeah.
did this thing where they did a pop song, an AI generated pop song. Like, they did a collection of mixture of people who
Okay.
wrote it and AI, and then people listening who were unaware of who wrote what. And they consistently chose the AI song because it had everything. And it's like the death of songwriting. It's like, why would you?
Well, yeah, we are living in like Joe Rogan always talks about this chrysalis, like becoming the butterfly, like we are going to be integrated. He's right. Like he is right.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, remember when we had Mum's 60th at that, was it 60th at
Yeah.
that stately home?
Yeah.
And Boo, we were all on our laptops then because there was no cell phones, and we were just checking our emails, and Boo looked around, our granny,
Yeah.
and she just
She was
like
incensed.
crying, and she was looking at her. She said, look at you all, you're all on your devices. And I was like, Boo, it's amazing. I'm talking to my girlfriend across the ocean. Technology is amazing. And I feel like her now. I'm just watching.
Yeah. It's like, oh God.
And I don't want any part of it now. I feel like I've maxed out on my ability to be able to integrate with technology.
Yeah.
And the next step up, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want AI generated anything.
Music. And then you think, well, I don't care if it's better. I still don't want to hear it. Then you just become stubborn. Like, sure, it does sound pretty damn good, but just on principle, I reject it. And then you really are an old timer, but that's how I suppose that's how we get old. It's by having that attitude. I just can't, I can see the good, but it is alarming, I think, because it creates so much displacement. I'm not against what it's offering. I'm against, for example, all the kids here who can't find jobs. They're teenagers. There's not many jobs going, and it's a really hard market for jobs right now. So a lot of my kids' friends cannot find a job. Now, there's been a lot of immigrants come in, and the government are subsidizing those wages, and they're flooding the market. And so teenagers are at home, can't afford to leave home because life's too expensive, also can't get a job, so they wouldn't leave home anyway. And I can see these problems going, okay, it's setting the stage for universal basic income and a sense of uselessness and in life, because I think that displacement is a serious problem, regardless of how amazing these new technologies are. If it actually created something where people had more purpose, I would be less alarmed by it. But it's not even fully fledged yet, and what I'm
Yeah, I
seeing is
mean,
a displacement.
yeah, I mean, you're going to have artists for sure. There's artists right now who are like, I can't write another pop song. Shoot, I need to. Or book writers saying, I've got a
Mm,
contract to write another book. They are for sure tapping into ChatGPT and saying, I need an idea for a new book. I need a new
mm,
pop song. And then these guys are going to go to like the talk show and you'd be like, hey, write this song about like really struggling with a breakup with your girlfriend. How, I mean, like that's heavy. And it's like, how do you authentically answer that question when it's not you that wrote the bloody song? I mean,
mm,
there's going to be such a huge disconnect with like this, like one of the reasons that I liked Ghost Stories by Coldplay is because I know that he's going through a breakup real
mm.
time with his wife.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? But had I not known that, I don't think I would have liked that album nearly as much.
Mm,
And so we're all going to kind of make this mental checkout where even now I look on Instagram, I'm like, I don't think that's real. That's
yeah.
not reality. Like
Mm,
that's some kind of fabricated person. That's not a real person. And so we're
yeah.
just going to become so cynical and so skeptical
Well, someone said this. I saw
of
this
it.
on a reel where he said eventually the only interaction on the internet will be between bots and bots. And that's where humans will
We're just going
check
to check
out,
out for it.
because you'll
Yeah.
realize none of this is real. These aren't, nothing's human on there. And eventually, let's say if all the reels were AI generated reels and all the comments are bots, which we already know is a huge, element of conversations in the comments. What happens when the
Yeah.
entire thing is saturated by AI and it's all bots, and then humans just
Hmm.
walk away because there's nothing to see here?
Yeah.
It's just
Hopefully.
completely unappealing.
But
That would be cool.
what if AI develops an ego though?
Mm.
And then it's because there's one, like Rick Lee said something really, I think was really profound. He goes, a narcissistic person or person in leadership, you can argue with them and they're fine with that. You can agree with them and they're totally okay with that too, obviously. But what they
Mm.
hate beyond everything else is to be ignored. So what if AI starts to think, hang on a minute, they're
No
not
one cares
interested in
about
us.
me.
Then it's
Yeah.
then it starts to devise a plan of getting our attention back.
Yeah.
Then you've got a problem.
Well, then it would become conscious, I suppose.
Jealous of our
Yeah.
attention. They're
And
not watching us anymore.
it's basically human harvesting, isn't it? The fact that we're being harvested for our time, the amount of time we're spending on our devices is the ultimate power, because we're kind of
Yeah, we're
being
creating the
harvested for
monster that
data. Yeah. They're just feeding off of our movements.
all of our inputs. I
Yeah.
want to see flowers. I want to see red flowers. I want to see yellow flowers. All of that input is
Yeah.
creating this Frankenstein.
Yeah, because I logged into one of
scary.
the kids' Instagram, or something happened where I was going through this reel. I'm like, man, this is really different. What I'm seeing here is not what I would normally see. And it was obviously tailored to their algorithm, not mine. So the content was totally different. It's really bizarre how different it was. It felt like a completely different experience. And I've been, we're all getting siloed, and it's a conversation that we hear so much, but I suppose it's really a huge part of our future. What the fuck are we going to do? But it feels like on all levels, walking out into the woods and creating a life that's human connection. I don't know. Hey, don't know. Yeah. My phone keeps ringing. All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. Nice seeing you on your side.
Love you.